What is up, guys? Back with another Road to Planche video, and today it's the first of 2 lower body days and we're working the squat. So starting with the warm-up, I'm doing some star jumps in my trackies because it is cold outside and I'm trying to warm up. I followed this up with the Edo Portal squat clinic. You've probably seen me multiple times using the upper body warm-up that Edo Portal does with the band. He also has this squat one, which is just great for improving that range of mobility and just getting you comfortable in that position and warmed up for doing squats or general lower body stuff. I then followed up this squat clinic with some dynamic stretching, which is in the form of these hip flexor stretches as well as some dynamic hamstring stretches, just to get my range of motion up. I then, to pump some blood into the muscles, I did these standing hamstring curls. It's important here to tense your glute at the same time as doing these, and you just get a really good pump in the back of your legs, those hamstrings. I then followed them up with some bar squats just to warm up for the back squat, which is the first exercise of today. And I did a 20 kilo bar warm up as well as the 60 kilos for 5 reps, just as a starting weight, nice and slow, just kind of getting and greasing the groove for the later sets that I'm going to do. The first 2 exercises I'm doing are the back squat, as you can probably tell by this warm up, and I'm also coupling that with the opposing movement, which would be, in this case, a natural hamstring curl. So the program says that I am trying to follow, but I'm not currently following, which I'll give you a good reasoning in a second. It says to go for 5 sets of 5, and that applies to both these back squats, which I'm currently doing 70 kg with, and also the natural hamstring curls. These natural hamstring curls are probably my favourite strength-based hamstring exercise. There's really nothing else like it unless you whack up the weight really high on a hamstring curl machine, but you just don't get the same activation. Here you have to tense your whole back of your whole posterior of your body to try and lift you back up again, and it's just a really tough exercise. Ideally you're supposed to do it with your body completely straight, but you have to be incredibly strong to do that. So I have a bit of a bend at the hips, which naturally most people will do unless you're super strong. So I've moved the weight up to 75 kilos, and as I mentioned earlier, I'm not currently really doing this leg workout as such because having not lifted weights for 18 months, I started introducing weight training to my lower body days. And although I introduced that about 6 to 8 weeks ago, when I started deadlifting again only about 4 weeks ago, I started getting this pain in my right glute. I don't get the pain when I do sort of 60 kilos on the bar or lighter squats and deadlifts, but as soon as I start picking up the weight, I get just this kind of annoying pain when I drop the bar at the end. So I think there's definitely something wrong there, and I need to get it seen by a chiropractor or a physiotherapist or personal trainer, just trying to work out what is going wrong biomechanically. So I think this is only maybe the 2nd week into this program, and it was kind of on and off, this pain, so I kind of persevered. As I was recording, I wanted to put some better numbers up because my squat is weak. I was doing 70 kilos, 75 kilos for 5 reps at 85 kilos body weight, which is just pretty pathetic considering I had 120, 130 kg squat when I was doing powerlifting. So I ended up dropping it down to 60k just to get some nice working sort of easier sets and just kind of working the movement and getting a more solid feeling. But ultimately I haven't been squatting that much. I have still been doing these natural hamstring curls because they're awesome for the glutes and the hamstrings, but I tend to be doing more dynamic movements for the quads. Also this clip screwed up a little bit, so I apologise for that. As you can see here, due to the sort of injury or whatever's going on down there, I'm trying to roll it out a little bit, but it's just not helping. I think it's the movement, so I'm going to stay away from this. Even though I'm recording this video, this would be what I would be sticking to, but unfortunately this injury has held me back, so I'm having to adjust. But if you are following along with this program, which is in the description as always, then feel free to stick to this. I think you should squat and you should deadlift like the essential movements, but I currently can't, and I don't want to injure myself badly. I'm not really injured at the moment. I can do everything really pain-free unless it's heavy squats and heavy deadlifts. So I don't plan to exacerbate this sort of niche little thing that's going on. So I'm just going to try and work to correct it and not worry too much. So after we've done the strength movements, we move on to the mobility side of the workout. We start with these horse squats, and we're applying the principle of loaded stretching. And that essential principle I followed from Emmett Lewis, who is a YouTuber and I guess he's a fitness sort of guru for mobility. Definitely check out his stuff if you're looking to improve your general flexibility for lower upper body, improve your handstand position, anything. So he advises to go for 3 sets of 5 to 10 reps, and then what you do is on the last rep, as you can see here, is you hold it for sort of 10 to 30 seconds in that really extreme range of motion, the one that's stretching the most. And the idea is that you build strength in that furthest range of motion. So the idea of loaded stretching, as you can see here, is not to stretch as far as possible, but to stretch to the point at which your muscles are comfortable to hold yourself, or weight added. So here, this is tough for me to hold because my muscles aren't strong enough to hold me into this position. But as you can see, when I go down from this position and sort of stretch out, I can actually get like a good half a foot lower. So my mobility is good, but I actually haven't got the stability to hold myself there. And that's the difference between active and passive flexibility. So I apply the same principle with the pancake here. I go for 3 sets of 5 to 10 reps, and then on the last, I'm going to hold it for a period of time. As with all of these 3 exercises, because they're body weight, I start off without weight, and then if I feel confident and I feel like I'm strong in that position, I add weight as I go along, as you'll see later on. So if you've looked at the program, you'll see that there is quite a lot of mobility work in the program. That's for good reason, really, because when it comes to body weight training, mobility can play a huge part in your ability to do particular exercises. So especially with my lower body days, I actually have pretty much a 50-50 split between mobility and strength. One of the reasons for this is I don't really want to gain much size in my legs. My legs aren't small, but they're not big, but I don't really want to make them too much bigger because it's only going to make doing the planche, doing front levers and stuff harder. So I don't want to be a flamingo, but at the same time I don't want to have massive legs that are going to make everything else harder. But I do want to be flexible in my legs, because if I can have a better straddle position, then it's going to make my life easier with planche. I had to throw in that fast forward because I thought it looked cool, kind of like going down and back up. So yeah, mobility makes things easier. If you can have a really good straddle, you're going to be able to do a straddle front lever much easier than somebody who's going to be able to do a shit straddle because their weight's going to be further distributed. So the better your straddle is, the better the better you're going to be able to do straddle planche. So hopefully you can see here that my middle splits is already improved by like a good half a foot, sort of 30 centimeters, 15, 20 centimeters already. And then when I go down into these sort of like lowering into pancake, I actually get like another 30 centimeters deeper. So that's kind of the difference between the active and passive again. This is when I start using weight, is mainly on my pancake and then sometimes on my horse squat if I'm feeling squat strong. The pancake, I feel like you can load this up. A 20 kilo bar or plate is really good for this, but if you're just starting out, then I recommend going light with the weight, as the exercise will be pretty intense by itself if you haven't stretched much. But I've been working on this pancake now for a long time. I think it's probably like a good year and a half now that I've been working on this pancake, so I have no problem adding weight to it. And the final round here, you'll see me put weight into the horse squat. You don't really need much weight here. This is all about improving the range of motion, so you just need enough weight to make the exercise challenging. I guess that's with all things, but here you're better off having good form and refocusing on how you're positioning your body. and sort of the mind muscle connection than just lifting a really heavy weight. Like, that's not what mobility is about. So one tip I would have though for the horse squat is don't do it on a slippery surface. As you can see on the previous round and on this round, my foot slips out on both, which is just kind of a bit annoying. But it is helpful when you're doing the middle split stuff. Like here, you kind of want your feet to slip so that you have to use your muscles to keep your feet from moving out, which is definitely going to work them more than if they're just sort of like pushing against friction. So hopefully you can see a big improvement from the first set that I did and then the final set. There's probably a good 30 centimeters difference, and that is something that I actually have seen overall while I've been doing this program. My middle splits especially has gone down a lot. I've seen the improvement quite a lot, and my pancake as well has improved since I've been doing this. I've been doing this loaded stretching on the pancake now for sort of 6 months or so, and it's improved it massively, but it's been on and off, and since I've had it in my program, I've really been focusing on it. You'll actually see in a second I hit a PB today. My goal with the pancake was to be able to get my chest to the floor and kind of sit there comfortably, and that today in this video that you're going to be watching is the first day now that I've ever actually been able to get my chest to the ground and just sit there comfortably. Now is kind of the best I've ever been with the pancake, pretty much folded in half. So I'm really pleased to hit my goal, and I think that's come down just to that consistent loaded stretching. Then to balance out the external rotation that I've been doing, I did some internal rotation, so just kind of stretching in the opposite direction, and then also opening up my chest and my back. So just trying to do the opposite stretch to what I've been doing the whole time. And then with all my lower days, I finish up with some foam rolling. You'll see on the screen just kind of my general foam rolling technique. I start from the IT band and then work my way over onto the quad, then the inner quad, and then repeat, and then I do the hamstring and the glute. Ideally with the glute you want to get like a tennis ball or something, and it's just going to work into that muscle a lot better than a bar foam roller, but it's the best I had at the time. But that is basically it for today, guys. If you enjoyed this video and found it informative, please leave a thumbs up and a comment. I will always answer any questions you have, but until that time, I will see you in the next video. Peace.